In January at Westminster, everything has been overlain with echoes of Brexit and concerns about Donald Trump. And in terms of Brexit, it's certainly been a very interesting few days. The Supreme Court has ruled. There's a fascinating contrast between the information that has come out from the UK government, which consists of a one-liner bill at the moment, and the excellent document produced by the Scottish government. And really we do need that level of debate and that level of detail when we're looking at what is happening with our place in Europe. It is absolutely essential that Scotland gets the best possible outcome here. That there are independent reports of the huge scale of job losses that could happen if a hard Brexit is visited upon Scotland, and that's why it's so important that our Scottish Government is consulted about where we go with Europe, and I will be pushing along with all my colleagues at Westminster to make sure that that happens and to make sure that Scotland's voice is heard in these discussions. Many people were in touch with me to express their concern about the issues with a Trident nuclear weapons test going wrong, and understandably that's something that did cause people significant worry. It was also worrying that the Prime Minister refused to answer questions about what exactly had happened, and that the Secretary of State for Defence continued that line when we questioned him in Westminster about what had happened and also about why this information had not been made known to Parliament. It's absolutely vital that that kind of information is something that we're aware of when we are asked to vote on issues such as the renewal of Trident nuclear weapons. And I think in terms of public safety, in terms of transparency and scrutiny, we should be made aware of this kind of information. But as yet we have no answers to what I think is a very serious question about the safety and suitability of this nuclear weapon. A number of people have also been in touch with me with concerns about the situation in Yemen, which is something I've spoken about in Westminster on a number of occasions, and I do share these concerns, and spoke again in a debate about this very worrying situation where the humanitarian disaster that is falling upon Yemen is getting worse rather than better, and that there is continued concern about the UK government denying that they should be pushing Saudi Arabia much harder on the issue of British cluster munitions, which are causing such terrible death and destruction in Yemen, being used by the Saudi Arabians. I do urge the government to think about what is happening here. This is a terrible humanitarian tragedy. The people in Yemen really do deserve us to consider them when we're making decisions about how we run our foreign affairs. A matter which I've spoken about a number of times in Westminster is the persecution of religious minorities. I think it's important that people, wherever they live in the world, are free to follow a faith of their choosing or no faith. And I understand that there are significant areas of the world where Christian minorities are persecuted. I was pleased to attend the event that Open Doors put on to make sure that I was fully aware of this, because it is something that I have pursued on a number of occasions. And in a similar vein, I laid down an early day motion with cross-party support about the persecution of the Yazidi people, another religious minority. So across the world, people are suffering because they're making choices about how to follow their faith. That is never all right. It is something that does cause a number of people to write to me, and I do understand your concerns, and I'm supportive of them. Locally, people are concerned about private car parks as well. This is something that's come up on a number of occasions, and I have again raised this issue in the House of Commons and have been working with colleagues across Scotland to try and bring some pressure to bear on companies who charge people unfairly. Of course, people understand that they need to pay to use a private car park. That's perfectly reasonable. But when these charges are applied wrongly, or when there's a refusal to enter into dialogue, then that situation isn't sustainable, it isn't okay, and I will continue to pursue the operators of these car parks to try and engage in a positive and sensible dialogue so that we can get some more useful responses when people have parking queries locally. It was very helpful to attend an event organised by Facebook at Westminster, which focused on internet safety, particularly for young people. This is something that is of real interest to a number of parents in our local communities. I would absolutely recommend that you have a look at the information which you can find by clicking on my newsletter. There's a lot of good stuff there which would hopefully provide tools and reassurance to a number of families in our local area. I'm really interested in the opportunities that people have to be employed and to be promoted, and it's an important thing that we focus on any areas where there are barriers which prevent people from doing so. So I was very pleased to join with Maternity Action and Action for Hearing Loss to look at ways that we can cut through some of the problems which arise for women returning from maternity leave and for people that suffer from hearing loss in the employment market. There are hundreds of good tools that both of these organisations have available to help employers. I would definitely encourage people to have a look, and if there are concerns that you have around employment and your ability to get into employment and we can help, please do let us know. And finally, this month it was fantastic to have constituents visiting at Westminster. It's always lovely to see somebody from East Renfrewshire. I was delighted to meet up and do a short tour with the constituents who came. If I can meet you and you're coming to Westminster, I'll always do that. And if you have anything you think I should know about or something you think I should be raising in Westminster, please let me know that too.